Hey everyone, Kevin here, and welcome back to my channel. So, I've mentioned many times over the years that teachers' salaries are low, and that even though it's never been a main reason why educators are fleeing the classroom, it's still a major contributing factor to why we have such a teacher retention crisis right now. But amazingly, I still get people on the outside of education who fight me on this and are sarcastically asking the question, is teacher pay really that low? Well, yeah, it is. Now, credit where it's due, I realize that I've never done a full video on the why and how teacher pay is so low. The closest I ever came was one of my earliest videos talking about how the pay is better outside of teaching. When I made that original video, I was fresh to the scene and was just figuring out how to do YouTube and video production in general. So looking back at it now, I see how I left out a lot of important details that led to people still not understanding how teachers aren't paid enough. So today, allow me to rectify that and really expand upon why salary is always a background sticking point for educators. To begin with, teachers are salaried employees who are paid for a specific set of time, say 7:30 to 3:30 p.m. every day for 184 days of school year or whatever their contract states. The issue is I've never seen any teacher not work outside of contract hours on a consistent basis, which always goes unpaid and eats into our personal time. Now, you might say, well, a lot of people in the corporate world do that. How's teaching any different? And that is a fair question, but one with a somewhat difficult answer. But basically, the difference is that the majority of people only do that occasionally at their job, especially if it is something as reasonable as answering an email or wrapping up a really important project. It happens. But teachers have to do it though in order to keep actually up with demands that there are completely unrealistic because we're given 12 months of work into a 10-month period, since that's how the school year is laid out. Plus, teachers don't actually get paid over the summer. It isn't this wonderful paid vacation that everyone thinks it is. In fact, very few schools provide any compensation at all over the summer, thus forcing teachers to take on part time second or third jobs in order to pay their mortgage and rent. I mean, how would you feel if you walked into Starbucks and saw your child's English teacher pouring your coffee because they'd be living in their car otherwise? I know many teachers who did bartending on the side and actually made more money doing that than they ever did in the classroom. And that's not okay. But this all begs the question, well, how much money would be enough then? Well, that's easy. A wage that is actually paid all year round, is commensurate with our education and years of experience, and which matches the standard of living of the school's location. I can't give you an exact number because no one size fits all system would be appropriate here, which is why we constantly see education struggling to standardize things in vastly different places. But if you're looking for specifics, here are some for you from the Economic Policy Institute to show how teacher pay is, in fact, low. The pay gap between the weekly wages of teachers and college graduates working in other professions grew to 26.4% when I quit teaching in 2022, which is a pretty significant increase from the 6.1% in 1996. And on average, teachers earned 73.6 cents for every dollar that other professionals made in 2022. Compare that with 93.9 cents on the dollar they made in 1996. That means not only are we paid for only 10 months out of the year, but that we are making 30 cents less for every dollar that we do make than those with the same level of education and degrees that we have. And many schools require a master's degree too, which only exacerbates that pay gap even further. Even the superior benefits packages we used to get have become incredibly unaffordable and aren't enough to offset the growing wage penalty for teachers anyway. As a whole, teachers made anywhere between 7.6 and 37.4% less per week than other college educated workers, who again have the same level of education that we do. The worst states for paid gaps that I'm aware of are Colorado, Arizona, Virginia, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Missouri. And not surprisingly, all of those states have had walkouts and teachers quitting en masse over their pay since 2018. Even here in California, where the pay looks good, you'll find that it really isn't. Here is the salary schedule from my previous school district that was adopted a year after I left, but it's basically the same one that I had. At first glance, it looks pretty awesome, right? Well, no, not really. And that's because of the standard of living here in California, which is insanely high. Plus, the amount of loans and debt teachers take on to move over in their pay columns really add up and mean that most of those yearly increases are covering loans rather than living expenses. Most houses in California cost nearly $1 million now, so do the math on the mortgage or rent payments, and we're talking thousands of dollars every month. Not to mention the utilities, gas for your car, groceries, etc., all add to that too. Inflation has also rendered any salary increase meaningless anyway, so all of that adds to how teachers are actually making less every single year. Plus, if you look at this chart again for a moment, you'll see grayed out areas which denote anniversary increments you can only get by not moving around and staying in the same district or school site for that many years, thus trapping you, preventing any real job movement to find something better, or professional growth for that matter. It's a nice little scheme they've got going. And just picture other places where teachers start out at, say, $42,000 a year and never have even the slightest hope of reaching a livable wage, which is roughly twice that these days. Pile on top of that how teachers already have to pay for so much of their own school supplies, and you really start to see how teacher pay is, in fact, very low. Plus, we're constantly gaslit into thinking all of this should be normal. We are routinely directed to mentor students outside our contract hours, grade things or answer parents on our own time, and pay for basic supplies, all while dealing with an increasingly violent student body who are given no repercussions for their misbehavior. But to put a fine point on the problem, why are teacher salaries like this? Well, school salaries aren't governed by market forces or competition. Teachers can't negotiate a better pay rate or days off because they're set by the district, union, or collective bargaining agreement where those are even legal. It isn't easy to raise teacher pay without raising taxes, which no one wants to do. Most schools are funded by bond measures as it is, which are only plunging districts and state more into debt since they can't repay them. This is why so many schools, like Chicago I mentioned a while back, are laying off teachers to try and balance their multi-million dollar deficits. It's happening everywhere the last couple of years as the COVID funds that kept them afloat have dried up. This all leads to the thing our podcast was founded on, in which I've said so many times. There is no teacher shortage in the United States. There is a teacher recruitment and retention problem because no one wants to be treated this way and paid a wage not equal to what the market averages for other college educated professionals. Students have never walked into a school to find zero teachers there because schools instead just bring on substitutes, lower standards, or increase class sizes to offset open positions rather than responding to a market desire to increase pay. The problem is clearly multifaceted to say the least, but I hope those who've stuck with me this long into the video now see why teachers are in fact paid too low than they should be and how we're not really changing to fix that issue. It's really damaging education and leading to a system that is losing quality educators faster than they can be replaced. Pay is never the main reason teachers leave, but salaries are still just adding more fuel to the fire. Well, guys, I think I should probably end there for the day. Please don't forget to click like, comment, and subscribe. It helps a lot in keeping this going and will help you stay up to date with all of my content. Until next time, though, I've been Kevin, and I'll see you in the next video.